I wanna die. These tears spring from my eyes ever since you said goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, I'm gonna cry like a man. Cry like as hard as I can. Yes, I can. And if you had a heart, then maybe you'd start to understand. Oh, I know you understand.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Crastinators podcast. We're back again to talk about all the cool shit on the internet. I'm the best guy ever, and I'm joined by my basket of deplorables, as always, Ben Saint.
That's me, every bubby.
Digibro.
We're gonna put some pro-crass right up yo ass.
And Hypocrite.
Wah.
And so, as everyone famously knows now, we are doing a new thing where we're getting suggestions for topics off of Twitter. So everybody go to... Yeah, it's
You tweeted
it's
it
famous.
like 5 minutes ago.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Like, last episode, or before last, because we decided to do Pokemon on our own. But before that, we're doing a thing where we're just topics people ask us on our Twitter is what we're just going to talk about on the show that they've asked just throughout the week. So anytime, go to Twitter and tweet at TP Crastinators.
But by the time you're hearing this, it will be too late.
Well, for next week.
No,
For next
Ben
week,
is
yeah, for
misunderstanding that the concept, this podcast, the Crying podcast,
right.
was suggested on Twitter.
Oh.
Who suggested this, Nate?
Oh, yeah, right. So this was suggested by Palm Top Vulture, or at Pop Vulture. And their suggestion was, as a suggestion for a podcast topic, how about art and moments in media that make you cry? So thank you, Pop Vulture. I think we're going to expand that a little bit to...
That
I
make
just
us
thought it'd be fun
cry
to
or
talk
that
about
made
crying.
us cry?
That make, apparently.
The
But,
tense there is important for me.
Is it?
So it's just, they asked make. They asked make you cry. So still to this day.
I don't think there's anything that will make me cry consistently. And if there is, then I don't know how to test it. Like, I'd have to watch something every single year and update my did this make me cry ometer, which is not something. I know some people who do that. I know some people are like, I watch it every month and I cry every time, but I don't usually watch something more than once every few years.
That's what's funny, because I am probably the biggest media crybaby that I know. I cry all the time when I'm watching stuff. Like whenever I just hear Sorayero Days come on the radio, or not on the radio, but like on my fucking MP3 player, whatever, I cry.
My friend Ghostlightning has said that he's
stuff.
cried many times just hearing that song.
Wait,
sorry, I do it to all kinds of anime
Which
songs.
one's Sorayero Days?
It's well, specifically it calls. It's the opening of the Gurren Lagann, but it calls to mind.
Oh, the Gurren. When did you say the Gurren Lagann theme? Did you?
Well, everyone, yeah. Okay, but the thing is, what makes me cry listening to songs like that is the emotions it evokes. So whenever I listen to that song is the insert song, which every time they do the theme song of a show during the big climax finale, it's always a 10 out of 10 best thing ever.
I cry every time I hear "Row, row, fight the power," and I think of that picture of the bird sitting on the sign that says "No birds."
yeah, that is a good one. So when I hear that song, because that song plays in its entirety throughout the climax, I just in my mind play the movie of how it starts off with the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's when someone's like, no, not yet. And then Lord Genoma's like, Shibon! And then the whole sequence plays up to the ultimate victory over the anti-spiral. So it just calls that whole greatest scene ever to my mind. And that's true of just like every
I kind of want to ask,
great song like that.
I mean, I don't, tears don't form in my eyes, but there's lots of, things that I, get really emotional about. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's the coolest thing ever, but tears don't come. I'm wondering, I don't actually cry a lot.
Personally, I'm going to try to be very rigid with this. I'm only going to select things where I have shed at least one actual tear. Not just teared up, not just welling, eyes full of tears. No, something has to fall down my cheek because I have
to feel
a list.
that sensation of the tear rolling down the cheek. That's my method.
I never get tears.
There's only one.
That never happens.
There's maybe two times where I can remember that happening off the top of my head.
2 times?
Well, yeah,
Man.
like
that's enough times for a podcast, right?
Welling up is as far as I go emotionally.
I felt tears rolling down my face just watching Shelter the other day. And I've kind of cooled off on it, but at the time, at its peak,
but the reason
really
I ask about the tear thing is that I think just some people make tears more than others.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
You get to an emotional level where you would be crying if you made as much tears as someone else.
Even I can be like sobbing, and tears aren't actually rolling down my face.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I think if it's sobbing, it counts. I think we're gonna classify this as it was not something that lasted like a half a second. You know, because like I have lots of things that will make me tear up for like half a second when it's right at the emotional climax, like right at that moment. But then, you know, the second it's over, it all just dries right back out.
The problem,
it's not there anymore.
The problem with you guys is that I'm a golden god, and you guys, all your tear ducts are clogged with all that fat fuckery is just filling up that shit. They can't squeeze them through. That's your problem. Hit the treadmill, my friends. If you want some healthy crying.
You gotta be a vegan, like that guy in Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah,
that's right.
You know how most people only use 10% of their brains is because the other 90% is all full of curds and whey.
Yeah, that's true. So it seems pretty clear that people have different like degrees of their crying capacity.
Yeah, it's something that I've got like rolled eyes at, like people like, oh, you don't cry, because I don't often, but it's like I don't literally tear up, but I do get emotional about things, and people always say, oh, you're just pretending to be tough, you fucking loser. And I don't like that.
It's like
I want to say that, for the record, I also don't cry much, which is why like I'm being so strict about it, because there is such a small, tiny pool of times I have shed actual tears that I literally have a list. I have a list of every individual tear I've shed while consuming media. So
Jesus Christ.
Well,
that's interesting.
I'm gonna go through it in the course of this podcast.
I could list too many to name. So I really am a big crier. I cry a lot when I do all kinds of media stuff. So there's no point in going through my list.
I could bring up one that a lot of you might also agree with, which is the ending of Toy Story 3.
Oh yeah.
Lots of people
which
cried
part
on that
specifically? Because there's Andy's part, and then there's the death part.
It's the bit
I cried at the ending of Toy Story 3.
It's the bit near the end where Andy's giving the toys away, and he's like, "Oh,
yeah, that's the one.
I'm 17, but I still sort of care about these for some reason. But I'm giving them to a little girl. And I'm saying goodbye forever." And it's like,
I don't know.
Everyone gets their little moments when he's just like, "This is Ham. He's like the evil Baron."
Oh my God!
Lightning
I want your dark
His heart was
souls.
brave and pure. Dinosaur, it's a lone dinosaur.
I hope you're recording this, Jesse, because this is gold, and the people are gonna want to hear it.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Jesse. We were just talking about how we wanted you.
What's the topic this week, gents?
crying.
It's media that's made you cry, which I know you have basically everything.
Oh boy. Let me tell you people about crying. You know, old Uncle Endless has been doing a lot of that lately. And and, you know, by lately, I mean the last 27 years. So I've got a lot of material for this one.
I've cried 1,000 tears, and I'll cry 1,000 more.
I have both on video and in person witnessed Jesse literally crying while describing something. I know it happens in the Batman vs Superman video when he reads that passage from that Batman comic, and I believe you shed an actual tear that glistened in the light of your basement.
That glistened in the light of my yellow room. An actual
the golden gleam,
a pea-stained tear rolling down my jaundiced cheek.
Yeah. And I could hear that you were crying in the second panel cast when you described the Spider-Man scene.
Yeah.
I cried twice in that panel cast, and I cut one of them out because it was too much. One of them.
Jesse and me, I think, are birds of a feather when it comes to crying. We seem more predisposed to this kind of gay activity as opposed to you guys. You know.
I have.
It's the most straight thing in the world.
I agree.
Over time, I mean, as a kid, I always didn't want to cry. And that's still sort of true. Like, every time tears come, it's like, it's unnatural, it's unusual, I'm not used to this. And I try and stuff it back, even though I'm alone.
It's true, I feel that. I feel like kind of weirdly self-conscious about it. When it happens, I'm like, is this right? Is this right?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I
feel that about not crying. Like, I have so many times where I'm witnessing something emotional, and I'm starting to get there, but I don't cry, and then I worry that I'm just such a jaded, I'm so broken that I can't even cry at anything. And I have a real legitimate jealousy of Jesse's. Like, whenever I see Jesse feeling something so strongly, I'm like, why can't I feel anything that strongly? Why can't I feel? Why am I so numb?
It's a gift and it's a curse, buddy. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
it's my burden.
I'm sure I wouldn't want it if I was on the other end when that pendulum swings in the other direction.
I might be like the most emotional person I've ever met in my life, and it's a terrible, terrible thing.
That's funny. I actually kind of feel guilty. I also second guess myself like Ben when it's like, is this right? But the thing is, I'm usually already crying by that point, and I'm just kind of like, oh, am I? Do I? Because that's the thing. I feel like I cry too easily, and I worry that it's cheapening it, even though it doesn't matter to anyone except me. But I kind of value my own cries, and I don't want to pass them out like fucking candy. I want them to be important and matter.
I guess when you talk about something you like. And you said, "Oh yeah, it was so good, it made me cry." That's like an indicator of how emotional and how good it is.
That's right.
And if you cry at something that you're like, "Oh, I guess I don't really care about it, but I cried," so
a man's tears are like a woman's vagina. They need to only be shared with the public on very rare occasions, or else you're trash. That's right. That's what I'm going
real quick,
with.
Before we even continue any further, let's do a sync test with Jesse.
Okay.
On the count of 3, say cry. 1, 2, 3.
Cry.
Okay, that's good enough.
Okay.
Just had to make sure before that. I don't want us to get to the end and then we don't remember at the end.
That's fair.
So, all right. Well, we've talked a lot about our philosophies of crying to media. Mm-hmm. We need more actual examples. We know Nate cries every time he hears the opening theme of Gurren Lagann.
I do every time. Oh, also the one where there's one in the middle of the episode where Simone becomes a man when he finally sacks up in episode 11. That one too.
One where Nia's behind him and he's got the cross.
For a recent example,
that's right.
Shut
up. All right.
For a recent example, the show that we watched for Plebe and the Weeb, Planetaria, got me pretty close once or twice there.
I remember. I kept looking over it and
emotional narrative.
I kept looking over and seeing Ben and Jesse
almost made us cry.
It was the fucking closest I've had in a while.
Okay, all right.
Honestly, it looked like Ben was crying. I don't know if there was any tears, but I kept looking over at Ben and Jesse who were losing their shit, and that's why. For anyone who doesn't,
there were some tears welling up and my lip was quivering. That's
okay.
That's,
all right.
For anyone who doesn't know why we ended the Plebe and the Weeb that way, because it was such an emotional episode, and we had just been watching Baby Cake's Diary #2, which is the episode where Baby Cakes and his dad and his granddad, they all just break down crying after this huge it's this crazy emotional turn that the episode takes where they all start singing and crying and they just destroy everything in the house and burn it down. And we all thought it was the most emotionally poignant expression ever. So after watching this show, we were all standing around talking about how feelsy it was. We were like, oh my god, the emotions, we can't take it. And I was like, what if we just unleash and we just break everything in the set, just like in Baby Cakes? And it would be the perfect expression of how emotional this show made us feel. Though it ended up being portrayed more that we were all mad about me not giving the show a high enough score.
That's true.
Yeah, it didn't quite have that Baby Cakes pathos.
No.
But I mean, what does?
No, nothing does.
True. Let's hear some more. Oh, sorry, Gabe. Go ahead.
Oh, Gabe turn.
The only other one I can think of off the top of my head, there's probably more, is the ending of Okami. I don't know if any of you have played that.
I hated the ending of Okami, but let's hear. I'm interested in your reason.
Remember the ending very well.
The ending was you go through the whole world, the whole of Japan, and then you save the world. But then Okami has to leave forever, and she never gets to come back.
You mean Amaterasu?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think Okami is a pretty cool guy.
That's kind of what. Whatever.
I think of
Okami literally means great god, which is what she is. So technically, that's appropriate.
Great.
Okay.
And then Isun has to go and spread the tale of everything that happened to everyone alone.
Man, that was a great.
And
I'll tell you. What was?
Sad.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. But what I did really love about that part, the best part to me was when you're fighting. I forget the name of the big bad, but you're fighting the big bad in that heaven ship, and you have to This is a moment that might have brought some tears years ago, and I just don't remember. But it's when, over the course of the game, you've helped everyone in Japan in all these various ways, and at the end, it is their prayers to you, the god, that give you the power you need to finally defeat it and overcome and become God Mode Amaterasu. Now that was a great, emotionally powerful moment.
All of that ending, and then the credits song as well, the thank you reset, or whatever it's called. That's just got all the cool parts.
It's a great game, man.
It's a really good song. I cry to that occasionally. Almost cry.
Jesse, you were about to say one. It sounded like.
What? Oh yeah. You know, I don't know. There's a lot of like I could name like a million movies and stuff and like things that video games that make me cry. But what really always just really opens up a hole inside me, just rips me open and destroys me all the time, is just when I think about my friends. Not you guys, my actual friends. The ones,
right, of course,
the ones that when I hang out with you guys, I feel guilty about not being around them, and I resent you guys a little bit for even being a part of my life. You know?
We're enablers, yeah.
Yeah. So like
where are we going with that? Jeff?
I just really wanted to confess how much I hate and resent all of you.
Okay. Jesse, I hate to say it, nobody gives a shit because this is about media that makes
you cry.
I don't give a fuck. Nobody cares about
this is our media, and it's gonna make everyone in the world cry when they hear it because I'm connecting with my audience like I always do because I'm the best guy at that. Damn you. You know, fucking you what fuck. I hate them.
Sure. Okay. All right. That's fair. This is a media. This show makes sense to me.
No, it's terrible.
Oh, every time I listen to the Procrastinators podcast, I well up a little inside.
Yeah. Thinking about that, my life has become this. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And it's a bummer.
No, it's I really have a lot of sentiment inside me for the people close to me, and it really makes me a wreck if I dwell on it too much. Like I'll have some friend, or and she's like going through a breakup or anything, and she's like all crying, and I'm just like trying to help her, and I'm just like trying to tell her how much that she means to me. But then just saying that is making me cry, so now I'm crying harder than her, and it's like, who the hell is supposed to be cheering up who at this point? And so then I'm the weirdo, and so then I gotta everyone's judging me, so then I go to a party, and I'm the fucking guy at the party crying. Nobody wants to be the crying guy at the party. Nobody wants to be sitting there crying into another man's birthday cake, and everyone's fucking...
No, sir.
No one came there looking for a reenactment of the day the clown cried, but they got it. That's interesting, Jesse. You seem like a very empathetic person, and it amuses me. Or this is something I've been thinking about a little bit. Well, it does. Well, that's actually kind of the thing, because like I've been thinking lately how how I'm all about like I'm a futurist, and I want humanity to succeed and go to the stars, and I want all these things to happen.
Like, you fucking sociopath. I'm in the middle of an emotional breakdown at a party, and I'm crying. I'm losing my mind, and Nate's like, "Oh, amusing."
That amuses me. Well, all right, it does, because I was just thinking about how I want all these things for humanity.
Maybe interests would have been a better word than amusing.
Yeah, okay.
Or
it does interest me. It makes me think of something else that relates to me, which is cool, which is just how I don't give a shit about people on an individual level, basically at all. Like, I'll see people, and I'll hate them. I'll just hate them for no reason. When, like, I want the best for humanity, but I just hate everyone. I want everyone dead.
Nate, let me respond to that. I feel the same way a lot of the time. I feel all misanthropic and like, oh, I hate people and I hate everyone. And, I get frustrated at people a lot. But I always, like, every single fucking time when I actually come to know someone, I always think better of them than I did
that is true.
when I first like saw them and got my initial impression. I was like, oh, this person's just this person's just that, this person must suck in these or that ways, and then I always change my mind. So I try to keep it in mind. I try to tell myself, like, don't judge that person. You would like them more if you got to know them. You always do. But like it's my natural inclination is to be like, oh, fuck that guy. But
that's a very mature point there, Ben.
I try to fight it.
Point.
It's funny because much like with like what we said about crying earlier, where I said I kind of like feel broken because I can't cry as much as I want to. I feel similarly about like other people where like I kind of always assume that everyone's great. Like, I assume everyone I see, I'm like, that guy's probably doing something interesting or has something going on in his life
what the fuck
more
is
than
wrong
what I
with
have.
You would think that.
But then I have no ability to connect with any of those people, and I don't feel like pressured to do so. And like even like what Jesse talking about his friends who he's like, you know, I miss them and wish I connected with them more. Like, I've kind of completely don't even talk to any of my friends anymore. Like, ever since Ben and Devu moved in, I've gotten to the like, I mean, I was already pretty alienated from my friends because of the fact that they all have different interests and we don't do any of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not the type to go out of my way to put myself in a situation where I'd hang out with them. And now that I've got Ben and Devu, I just don't even talk to him anymore. Like, I haven't even seen half of my friends in 3 months plus.
To be fair, like, we haven't seen each other in days because I haven't left my room.
Ben has been straight up in his room for like 3 days now playing Pokemon.
I've been sick. I haven't had any desire to leave my room lately. I saw Devu once, and I saw you for like a second when you asked me if I left water boiling, which I didn't, because I'm responsible.
Thank God you've got the curative power of the vape to nurse you back to health.
The vape is what fucking caused this problem, I'm convinced. I'm convinced it dehydrated my throat and caused this whole nonsense. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
Well, I still see Victor and Devu, so... you know, as long as I see like one person a day, even if it's only for 5 minutes, I feel like I've got a ton of social interaction for that day. Something happened in between me making 300 videos every single fucking day of my life. But we have gotten completely off the topic of crying in media. This is now just a piece of media for people to cry to, as Jesse described.
I expected this to be just a sort of a general emotional discourse. I mean, because I don't think the guy really cares that much about like when the tear physically comes down your cheek. It's like that Futurama episode where, you know, when the Asian girl, she's gonna marry that little green alien man.
Kif.
Yeah, the Kif, right? It's not about the fact that he touches Leela and it was Leela's DNA that became his little babies. It's about the person who evokes that feeling that causes him to be able to reproduce, which just happens to manifest in the first person he
Incidentally,
touches. You know what I mean?
Who all has cried watching Futurama?
There's many times.
I probably cried.
Absolutely.
It's a pretty emotional show.
The dog, man. Yeah. He waited. He always waited. He didn't forget.
Because I mean, it's been in fucking ages since I saw any of those episodes for the first time. The dog one's emotional. The one about his brother, where he realizes at the
that's
end.
the one. That's the one. That's the best episode.
Yeah, everyone mentions the dog one. I'd forgotten about Yancey.
Fucking Yancey.
Yancey's a really emotional one, and then the one where at the end we see how Leela's parents took care of her for her whole life, and it plays Baby Love Child by Pizzicato 5.
The one
obscure
where,
Japanese pop band.
The one with Fry's mom, where he went into her dream at the end.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I don't think I saw that.
That was a
I don't remember that either.
I watched a bunch. Yeah, that was a good one too.
Yeah, it was one of the newer
Newish.
ones.
It was
okay,
newish.
no, I didn't.
I also really love the very last episode, which just has Leela and Fry just spend their life together, and then at the end, there's something really emotional about like you want to give it one more round, and then they just like start like time loops, and it's just something beautiful about how like these two have this connection.
Good and everything.
Even now, it's just really getting to me how much these two guys have come to care about each other. That's beautiful.
This podcast doesn't end until one of us makes someone else cry by way of remembering a scene.
Oh god.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen for me. I'm distracted. I'm distracted training for the Pokemon race.
Yeah, Ben, did you have any particular examples of something that has made you at least well, you said Planetarium.
I said Planetarium. Yeah. I have another one. I have another one, and maybe you guys can help me. There's a movie that like I cried more watching it than I might have ever cried in my life. Whoa. And I don't remember what it was called.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
No, I haven't seen it.
That was a good one.
Everyone tells me how much they cry at that.
It's like a romance, sort of, between this like gothy teen girl and this like schlubby middle-aged man. And it's got a name. Its name is like it's not Harold and Maude, but it's got a name that's like.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
2 names.
Lolita.
No, she's like a fucking goth or something, and he's
I don't know, man.
Beetlejuice?
I don't know.
People in the comments comment on this shit.
It's a sad romance between like a teen goth chick and this fucking middle manager, tie wearing, fat looking.
Yeah, you're definitely talking
Harold
about
and Maude.
That's definitely Beetlejuice.
Wait,
it does sound like Beetlejuice.
No, I know there is a Harold and Maude, but I don't think that's it.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's it either. Now
well,
I'm looking at it.
You have to do some research, and I don't know. People in the comments say something. And
no, Harold and Maude is like a dark comedy.
Hey Ben, here's a moment that I believe we both cried at the same time. This is a deeply emotionally moving situation. So Ben and I, when we were very young, were playing Mario RPG, and we got to the very last
this
boss.
Is not exactly what people are asking.
This is what they want. So
this is
what
not
happened
what
was,
want.
Wait, you told this story. You've told the story
didn't.
on the show before.
Wait,
I
really?
remember.
Who cares, Digi? Go on, Nate.
All right,
tell
so
the people what they want to know.
I will. I'm sure somebody wants to know now. So we're fighting the very last boss, Smithy, and at this point, we are babies. We are not veterans. This was like one of our first RPGs.
So I used Mallow. He has an ability that shows you how much HP the boss has. He had
Psychopath.
He had like no HP. He would have died in one hit. If I had attacked that turn, he would have died. And then the guy fucking summoned boulders or whatever like twice in a row and just wiped the whole party. And we've been trying to beat.
We flipped our shit,
We've been trying to beat that boss
it.
for so long. We've been playing Mario RPG for like, oh man, we fucking cried and went ballistic.
That 26 HP he had left just burned into my mind. I'm never gonna forget. It might have been 46, but it was one of those two.
Our dad got really upset because the game made us cry. He thought he was mad at the game for doing that to us.
Yeah, I remember this.
Video, man.
Why did you tell the story before? Maybe it was about parents reacting to video games negatively.
Maybe.
You definitely told it before, though.
I might not have been there for that, but whatever.
How could you not have been there? You told the story. It was you.
I thought you were saying Ben told it.
No,
okay,
you told this story before.
Well, whatever. They heard it twice. Okay, let's move on. That was a joke anyway. I didn't want to dwell on it. Has everyone gone except Digi now? Gib, did you do one already?
Yeah, I went. I can't really think of any specific times. There's probably lots of times as a kid, like playing Fire Emblem, where a character died after like 40 hours playing a single level. Because to try and grind through the arenas.
Oh, you know what? Sorry. Here's just one short one. I've probably told this story before, but when I was reading One Piece, on the day that Ace died, Luffy's brother died, I was supposed to go on a date with my girlfriend and a bunch of our friends. We were all going to go out and do shit in the snow. And my ex
gonna go out and shit in the snow.
But like she comes into my room. I didn't shed a tear, but I was just sitting in my room. Ace was dead. Luffy was never going to be the same. He was a broken man. And in walks like my girlfriend, and she's like, "All right, Nate, let's go have fun in the snow." And I'm just like, what the fuck? My friend just died, and you want me to go play in the fucking snow? And she did not understand what was going on. I explained it. Look, Luffy, my buddy Luffy, his brother just died. I can't fucking go on a date right now. And she just was like, she was so mad at me for so long after that. She did not get it. That's why I hate you, Lauren. You're the worst person I've ever known. I hate you. I'll never forgive you for what you did to me.
Oh, God, cut this, please.
I'm crying right now. You monster. How could you do it? There you go. All right, so that's my story.
Speaking of tragedy, I don't know if this counts. I don't know. I think I might have teared up a little bit when fucking Goose died.
Oh, really?
But not
his lovely Rowlet.
Yeah, when Mumkey killed my fucking flight commander, flight lieutenant Goose. Look, it's not that it wasn't actually sad. I think I was much more angry than I was sad.
That's okay.
I think I might have just had like fucking tears of like just frustration and like hating myself for having.
That's fine. I
went through the stages of grief like so hard. I was like, no, he's not really gonna kill Goose. And then I was like, okay, but like it's not really that bad, like. Mm-hmm. And then like, oh, but yeah, and there's just mad, just fucking,
probably did
just
some
the rage.
Bargaining. Like maybe I don't have to Nuzlocke this particular Pokemon. Maybe I can just let this one live.
The bargaining, yeah, but.
That's it.
I want to ask
angry tears
right. We're all very much thinking like consume piece of media, cry. have any of you had times, because I've had a few of these, where it was more that you watched something and then, like, what it made you think about eventually made you have a total fucking breakdown? Like,
well, yes, and even more.
I'll give an example to kick us off, just so I can finally share one. Though I did not cry watching this show, but an example for me was when I was when I was going into 11th grade, and I watched the show Manabi Straight, which is an anime series about a bunch of high schoolers who, basically the main character is this girl Manabi who, like, becomes a student council president, and she's trying to have, like, a great student festival on, like, the last, the last year that she's going to be in high school, and this high school's kind of shutting down because it's in a future where high school's, like, not really a thing anymore, and everyone just doesn't take it seriously. And she tries to have the most fun high school ever. And then the last episode is, like, all the characters are graduating, and they're all talking about what they're going to do in the future. And, like, most of them have plans except Manabi, and she's like, I'm just going to become a freeder, which just means, like, go around and get random part-time jobs and just do whatever. And everyone's like, what? How is that possible? Because you could do anything. You're such a great leader. You did all this stuff over the course of the show. And she's like, I could be happy doing anything. So I'm just going to go do whatever I want. And, like, I was about to start like, taking all these advanced classes in school, and I was trying to, like, fast track myself to do, like, some kind of successful collegiate career, like, thinking, I really gotta succeed in school if I ever want to make anything of myself. And then I see Manabi, like, just, I can be happy doing whatever, I'm gonna be a freeder. And I was like, and I had just a total mental fucking breakdown that night, and, like, just cried all night long and couldn't, like, just trying to figure out what I was gonna do with my future. Incidentally, 11th grade, miserable. Everyone's heard about it probably on the Depression podcast or on my Let's Play show. Very bad year, but Manabi incited a total breakdown.
That's really interesting to me, because when I was in high school, I was sort of in a similar way. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I insisted. My ego demanded that I take, even the valedictorian didn't do this, but I took every single AP class that was offered. And
that's fucking psychotic.
It was really dumb, but I passed them all, but I got, like, B's and C's for the most part, because I didn't actually care about them, nor did I care about what they would do for me. I was only interested in, like, proving to everyone how smart I was, and in the end, like, I got worse grades than most people, or, like, the higher level people. So it entirely shot myself in the foot for no reason, and it wasn't even, to accomplish anything other than satisfying my own ego. So it was just a big waste of time to do shit like that. And living your life like her, and, like, she just wants to be happy. You don't need all this extra bullshit. This is kind of tying into the whole school thing. You don't need these diplomas.
Go listen to Procrastinators.
Ask Kanye.
School sucks.
I was gonna say go listen to the College Dropout and shit. My degrees are going to keep me warm. My dad gave me all his degrees, and I wear them on my clothing, and I feel so good about them. And I'm going to get more degrees so I can get more degrees, and it's just going to make me the happiest person in the world. You
got it. Go watch the school one. Does anybody have examples of shit that made them break down crying?
I have a lot of examples, man. Let me tell you people about probably, like, the thing that has, like, the piece of media that has the highest ratio of moments that utterly destroy me and turn me into, like, a bawling, sobbing mess. It's the Rocky series.
Oh, cool.
Just that fucking...
Adrian!
Oh my god. That fucking whole series is so emotional. And that score, the music, if I hear, like, one note of, like, the music from those movies, not the ones that not like the not that, but I mean, like, there's this piece of music that plays in Rocky every time something sad happens, and every time I fucking even think of it, if I just, like, try to picture the notes in my head, I'll start crying at notes. There's so many parts, the whole fucking saga, because it's the greatest saga in the history of fiction. It tells, it's just like a guy's entire life story. It's just like 30, 40 years in a dude's life. He starts out, he's 30 in the first movie, and in the most recent movie, Creed, he's like 70. And you're just seeing this guy get older, and all of his, like, triumphs and his trials and tribulations, everything he gains and everything he loses, and it's like the most real human saga that was ever put to film in the history of mankind. That fucking, the first movie when he's when he's all pissed off, because Mickey is grilling him about what a bum he's become and how he's never amounted to anything, and he's just getting pissed off, and he's like, I know it stinks! I know it stinks in here! I live in a dump! I ain't never amounted to nothing! And he's like punching the wall, and yeah, I feel it so hard. That frustration of not accomplishing what you want to accomplish in your life, of looking at yourself and hating yourself and being a bum.
Especially because Mickey was the one who had kind of ignored him up to that point, and only now was Mickey into him.
Like there's that scene where he's like, hey Mickey, why are you always pushing me? Why are you always, why are you always yelling at me? And Mickey's like, you know why I hate you, Rock? Because you had something. You could have been somebody, but you didn't. You ended up breaking thumbs for some 2-bit mob boss. And Rocky's like, the whole movie is just, and I'm watching it and going,
me too, man.
And then there's that part in Rocky 3 where Mickey dies, and Mickey's, it's after because Rocky wasn't listening to Mickey. He had to fight Clubber Lang, and Mickey kept telling him, Rock, this guy's gonna clobber ya. He's gonna kick your ass unless you take it seriously. And Rocky was getting all full of himself because he was a champion, and he was like, I'll just train in this high-tech gym. I'll take a selfie with these fans, and I don't really give a shit. And then he goes. And like right before the fight, Clubber Lang like pushes Mickey, and then so they have the fight, and Clubber Lang just kicks the shit out of Rocky. He beats the shit out of him, and Rocky loses the fight, and it's this humbling experience. And he realized, I should have listened to Mick. Mick was right, but then he finds out that Mick's like in the locker room having a heart attack and dying, and he runs to Mick, and Mick's dying, and he's sitting there and he's crying. He's like, Mick, don't go! You can't even understand what the fuck he's saying because he's fucking Sylvester Stallone, and he has too many emotions. Sylvester Stallone has the same thing that I have. He has too many emotions, and he's got a half-paralyzed face, and it's this perfect concoction that makes him the greatest actor of all time, and it makes him, like something about Sylvester Stallone has the ability to convey emotion on a level, on a grand scale beyond what any other person in the history of mankind is capable of, and it connects with me, and I feel I have a spirit bond with Sylvester Stallone, and when I see him sad, I get sad, and I feel everything he's feeling, and Mick's like, oh, did you do it, Rock? Did you win the fight? Did you win the fight? And he goes, yeah, we won. He's lying to Mick. He's telling him he won the fight. And then Mick dies, and it's the saddest fucking thing ever. And then in Rocky 4, when Apollo Creed dies, he gets killed by Ivan Drago. And Rocky, he's gonna throw in the towel. He's gonna throw in the towel for Apollo. And Apollo looks at Rocky, Apollo, his old enemy, who's become his friend through the years because they've had so many battles with each other that they're like they're the original Goku and Vegeta. It's Apollo and Rocky, and they're friends now. And he's watching this fight. He's watching Apollo Creed get his ass kicked by this fucking Russian Superman, super villain, Ivan Drago. And he's got the towel, and he's like, hey, I gotta throw in the towel, Apollo! And Apollo's wife is there, and his wife is like, come on, Rocky, throw in the towel! What the fuck? And Apollo looks at Rocky, and he's like, don't you throw in that towel, man! Don't you do it, man! He's got too much pride. He's got that warrior pride. He won't let Rocky throw in the towel. And then Apollo goes down, and he dies! Fucking Ivan Drago just punches him to death! And he dies in the ring, and Rocky finally throws in the towel, but it's too late. Apollo's dead, and then he goes to Apollo's funeral, and he's like, hey, Apollo always did things his way. And then you get to Rocky 5, and it's like the worst movie ever. Rocky 5 is it's a piece of shit. Nobody likes it. It's the bad one. There's this guy called Tommy Gunn, but even in the bad one, there's great scenes that make you cry. There's that fucking part, because Rocky can't fight anymore. He's got brain damage from all the punching he's had. If he gets punched anymore, he'll die. So he can't box anymore. But he's trying to relive his glory. He's trying to train this up-and-comer, Tommy Gunn. And Tommy Gunn is a huge dick, and he's taking advantage of Rocky's kindness. And he's going off with this other promoter, and he's just being an idiot. And everyone knows it. And everyone can see it but Rocky doesn't want to see it because it's all he has left. It's all he has left. He just has to train this guy and so he can live vicariously through Tommy Gunn's success. So he's fucking trying to fight him, and Adrian's yelling at him. She's going, God damn it, Rocky! Don't you see? He's taking advantage of you! And Rocky's like, God damn it, Adrian! What do you think, I'm stupid? I know! and then there's there's that part where Rocky has that flashback. He's got a flashback to to where he was younger, training with Mick, and Mick, he gives him this little crucifix. No, not a crucifix. It's golden gloves. It's silver gloves from some boxing thing. He's like, I don't even remember what the fuck it is. But he's like, Rocky Marciano gave me this back in the day, and now I'm giving it to you, Rock. And so Rocky's remembering Mick, his dead mentor Mick. And in this flashback, Mick is giving him this speech like, Rocco, sometimes when you get older, I think nature is smarter than us, Rock. I think we get older and everyone around us that we love, they all die, Rocky. And you look around and you ain't got no one left. And you says to yourself, what am I still doing here, Rock? And then, so I want you to have this. I want you to have this. And when you look at it, I want you to hear my voice. And it's gonna be saying, get up, you son of a bitch, cause Mickey loves ya. And then at the end of the movie where he has a street fight with Tommy Gunn, and Tommy Gunn is beating him up because he's got brain damage. He can't fight anymore. He's getting headaches and migraines in the middle of his fucking fight. And Tommy Gunn beats up Paulie. He beats up everyone. So Rocky's down. But then he has that flashback and he remembers the voice of his old mentor Mick. Get up, you son of a bitch, cause Mickey loves ya. And he gets up and he punches the guy. He punches him with his fucking feet and fists. He punches him with his feet. He doesn't care. He's out of control. This is a street fight. There's no rules in a street fight. You can punch with your feet. And then you get to Rocky 6. Rocky Balboa, where he's old as fuck and he can't even fight anymore, and the boxing commission won't even let him box anymore because he's a fucking dinosaur. He's 1,000 years old. Yeah. And he has to go before the tribunal of boxing, the old wise men who control the boxing industry. And he's got to plead his case. And he's like, hey, don't you guys ever have something that you always wanted to do that you never wanted to do, and you feel like it's your last chance to do it? And they're like, oh god damn it, Rocky, you've moved us to tears. We're gonna let you fight even though you're a fucking ancient wizard and your bones are as brittle as fucking as cookies, Santa Claus cookies. And what
the fuck? Merry Christmas, everyone!
And then he has it is a Merry Christmas. It is a Merry Christmas. He fought Ivan Drago on Christmas Day.
That's right.
Does he fight Ivan Drago on Christmas Day to save us all from sin?
Oh god. In the last movie, Adrian's dead, and he fucking, he talks to Paulie. There's that scene. It's not even in the movie. It's a deleted scene, and even the deleted scenes are an emotional fucking maelstrom. Where he's talking to Paulie, and Paulie's talking about Adrian. He's like, oh, Rock, oh, you treated a good, Rock. I treated a bad. I don't want to remember. And then he's, oh, fucking Rocky. And then there's the new movie where he gets replaced by a black, and that's the saddest part of all. Where now you have to watch a bunch of movies with some black guy, and Rocky's probably gonna be dead in the next one. Rocky gets cancer in Creed. He gets cancer, and he has to fight cancer. He's fought Ivan Drago. He's battled Apollo Creed, but now he has to battle his strongest boxing opponent of all, cancer. And it's a beautiful saga, and that's my favorite. And not even just Rocky, also Rambo. The Rambo series. Sylvester Stallone is a fucking machine for emotion. He's an emotional fucking... It's not good enough for him to make the one most emotional fucking journey of all time. He had to make Rambo at the same time. All the Rambo movies are amazing. The first fucking Rambo movie at the end, where he breaks down and he's talking about, how sad he is and how he's got this PTSD. And then the second movie where he meets Ko and he falls in love and she teaches him that he's not expendable. But then at the end of the movie, you know, he says, Buddha, I'm coming for you, because he found out the government used him. They used him again. They don't care about the soldiers. They just use you up and they throw you away. Then in the third movie, the third movie is not very good. But then in the fourth Rambo movie, he finally goes home to his family at the end. It is also another thing. And speaking of how the government, they don't care about the soldiers, the Metal Gear Solid, the fucking, oh my god. Oh. Metal Gear, you are my best friend. Have no fear. I am your godsend. If I had to choose between Meryl and Metal Gear, Meryl would lose. 3 cheers for Metal Gear.
Yeah, Metal Gear's a good one.
But it's my duty to kick some real booty, beat down the baddies. Metal Gear.
What the hell is this song?
That's my Metal Gear song that I've been singing for years and never told anyone about. That's what I sing to myself. I sing that to myself to ward off the tears so they don't overtake me. Whenever I have an emotion, I start thinking about the Metal Gear song, but it reminds me of Metal Gear and makes me cry even harder, so it's a worthless song.
Sensible strategy.
Oh my god, the fucking part in Metal Gear Solid where Sniper Wolf dies, and she's talking about, that's like, oh man, that's a beautiful thing.
We're dogs of war, but you're a wolf. You're a wolf.
Oh my god.
I love your handkerchief. It smells so
when
good.
When Liquid Snake is killing Gray Fox, and he's like, in the Middle East, we don't hunt foxes, we hunt jackals. And Gray Fox is like, I carried foxes more dangerous than a jackal, you cocksucker. And he shoots at him,
man.
and then he dies, and then he gives that speech, and he's like, Snake, we're not tools of the government or anyone else. You gotta fucking get up and you gotta get a boner and you gotta fuck the world by your own standards.
How beautiful was it that Snake took that message to heart and started philanthropy with Otacon to fight against the evil corporations trying to fucking kill us with machines.
Oh
yeah.
god.
Man, remember when Tommy Wiseau shot himself at the end of the room?
You all betrayed me.
That was fucking poignant.
It's so sad you have to laugh. It's too sad for tears.
It's true.
You can't. Ah, god.
My favorite parts were is he dead? Is he dead? He's got a fucking bullet in his brain, you dumb bitch. What do you think?
Remember in the party scene when that guy shows up and just starts chastising the girlfriend and the lover as though he's been there all along, even though no one's ever seen him before?
I think that he's the Doctor recast inexplicably, but I just love it so much. I don't want him to be the same guy. I want him to be a new man.
I think he's just a stranger that showed up to fucking moralize at these people. I think he just goes from party to party looking for people to preach at.
The Room is the greatest piece of
art
ever conceived.
You mentioned
this is gonna totally mess up our circle of friends. I'm sorry. Who are you?
Who are you?
Have we met, sir?
That's the perfect line for that character. Holy shit.
Yeah. Our circle of friends. You know our well-established circle of friends that we have.
Oh my god.
Well, I'll tell you what's a tearjerker. Another one.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned the Doctor, man, good old Doctor Who.
Oh boy.
Every season of Doctor Who, like every 4 episodes, there's got to be one that just wrecks everybody. It's the Doctor is such a great man. He's such an emotional hero.
Oh shit! I remember that. There's another time I cried. It was when Rose got trapped in the alternate dimension.
Yeah.
With that cool music playing. That was really big.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was an odd choice to go, hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, go
But it
play.
works so well.
It works. It really works. Good Shrek cameo. Good cameo. To shift gears a little bit.
Wait, I just want to say, you know what movie wasn't that sad?
What's that?
Grave of the Fireflies.
I agree.
Because,
sad.
it would have been sad, except that it didn't make any sense why she died.
She died because the dude had too much pride. He wouldn't go ask for food. He let his sister die.
Yeah, but
that's fucking sucks.
The very day, the kid had money, right? Like he had money in the bank, and then the girl starves, like almost to death, And then on the day that she dies, that's when he decides to go and maybe get some of the money that he has out and buy some food. Like, what? Are you fucking kidding me?
I think food wasn't available. I don't know. Whatever.
I don't
okay, we get
exactly
it.
this detail, but
I don't even understand. Like the day that she is too far gone, that she will die from starvation.
I don't know, why did he steal food if he had money? I don't get it. Like he stole food.
That very day he has money and buys her some food. And she can't eat it because, like,
for me, the thing about Grave of the Fireflies, I'll extend this to a lot of stuff like it. That, like, I feel like what is meant to make that movie sad is the realization that it's like real, and this is all like real things that happen to real people and stuff like that. But I don't feel like as a movie, and maybe this is something that's hard to say without feeling like I'm some kind of inhuman jackass or something, but it's like I already know that people are suffering everywhere. I kind of take it for granted that life is terrible and everyone's suffering forever at all times, and children are dying en masse everywhere. And so, like, if you want to actually make me feel something, then the movie has to, like, actually have characters I care about. And Grave of the Fireflies, I don't connect with anything. Like, the characters are all assholes. Everyone in the movie's an asshole. And
the little sister is not an asshole. All right?
She's just
and that's
a fucking
the one who
kid,
dies,
though.
So you're supposed to cry.
She has no personality. She's just some kid. You know, it's like, yeah, some kid
blob.
died. I mean, that is sad.
She's a true Moe blob.
Speaking of movies that totally tried and just completely failed to make me, like, connect to characters and, like, feel something about what was going on, Song of the Sea was, like, so...
I didn't see that yet.
It's so emotionally... I don't know, like, it strives for this big fucking grand vision, and there's this big emotional scene at the end where, the girl, or, like, the mom has to, like, she wants to take the daughter to, like, the spirit realm, and, all the spirits have awakened, and they go back to the spirit realm, and, the mom is in the spirit realm, and, the daughter's gotta go to the spirit realm. But... it sucks. It's fucking gay and it sucks.
You know, that's interesting because the one they made before that.
That's basically all I have to say.
The one they made before that.
The studio's previous movie, Secret of Kells.
Secret of Kells.
It's not as tear jerky, but it's I don't know. It's just an infinitely better movie. I fucking hate Song of the Sea, not because it's terrible, just because it's so much worse than Secret of Kells. Gosh.
Secret of Kells, I consider to have one of the worst endings I've ever seen in a movie.
What the fuck are you talking about? Everything about that movie was perfect.
Hold on.
Especially
Do not let this devolve into an argument about Secret of Kells.
All I was going to say, was that I think the ending with, like, the book, it wasn't satisfying to me.
The ending was great.
Stop.
It was amazing.
Okay, but that's not what I wanted to say.
I was cry when I was watching
the
anime show was. I don't care what you wanted. What does it have to do with crying? Is it gonna involve?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, it's in Secret of Kells. I don't know. The sequel apparently failed according to Ben. I want to see it, but in the first one,
I think I actually might have cried a little bit at the ending of Secret of Kells. So there, fuck you, buddy.
Okay, all right, fine.
Good.
But for me, what I did like about the ending of Secret of Kells is the relationship between the boy and that silver-haired girl whose name I forget.
Yeah, Father Aiden.
No, not him. I'm talking about the girl in the woods and the kid, Brandon
Ashley.
Or whatever. It's like Ashley. It's like a weird spelling, but whatever.
It's spelled Aisling, but it's pronounced Ashley.
That's right. It's a weird Celtic thing. Anyway, just their relationship and the way he, like, leaves and you don't know what happened to her for, like, decades, and then at the end he sees her years and years later briefly, and there's like a sad lost friendship there that really got to me. That was the one emotional thing.
I liked Father
Aiden
a lot. I liked Father Aiden more than I liked Aisling. But whatever. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Right.
It's a great fucking movie, and Song of the Sea is just fucking empty in comparison.
All right, I'm gonna try to go through these as fast as I possibly can.
Okay, please go.
I'm gonna go through all the animes that made me cry. I have a list of the exact tears I've shed during each show. So
you keep them in a little jar.
Yes. No, I actually made a post about this back in 2009, and I'm looking at the post right now so I can keep track of, the older ones from back in the day.
Cool.
So, all right, the first tear I ever shed watching anime, apparently, according to this list, is from the anime series Canon, which is this sad girls moe show where everyone fucking dies. The part that makes me cry is that the main character is staying with his cousin and her mom gets hit by a car in, like, episode 22, and she's just like this cool side character who's just a super lovely mom who's awesome, and she's the best mom ever, and she gets hit by a fucking car. She doesn't die, but there's, like, a scene where her daughter's, like, all emotional over it, and got one tear out of me. Tear number 2.
Okay.
Tear number 2. You've got tears of tears.
Yeah. All right. Tier number 2, the ending of Eureka 7. Holy shit.
That's a good one.
It's so fucking beautiful. And tier number 5, which I'm skipping to because it was also from the last the previous episode of Eureka 7. The last 2 episodes have made me cry, but on different times watching the show. Because the second to last episode is about the end of the relationship between Anemone and Dominic. And it's like Anemone is this girl who's been this total bitch through the whole show. She's this evil, cruel motherfucker. But this guy Dominic's like in love with her and obsessed with her. And she doesn't appreciate it at all. She's just this entitled brat through the whole show. But then in like the last arc, like things stop going her way and like everything just fucking dogpiles on her and all this bullshit happens. But then Dominic's there for her and she realizes that, you know, what he's been doing all this time, and she finally appreciates how his love for her, and they have this fucking beautiful scene where they're falling through the air and they fucking embrace in midair. It's beautiful. Made me cry. Then in the last episode when Renton and Eureka finally, you know, have their big payoff, like they are already kind of like a couple by this point. But that's the fucking opening theme. It doesn't play at the end of the show. The whole last episode has this 10-minute song called Niji, which means rainbow, by Denki Groove that plays through like the whole last 10 minutes of the episode.
That was an insane bit. That was so awesome. That was like a Speed Racer ending. He fucking goes God mode and save his bitch.
It's a little rushed, but it is beautiful nonetheless.
I'm sure he would describe it
as a pimp. He needed to reclaim his property, and he did it.
Anyways, tiers numbers 3 and 4 were apparently shed during A Tale of Memories. I don't remember what scene because it doesn't list here what scene made me cry. So I just know that happened during that show.
What a shitty list this is.
Yeah. And then it says the last entry on the list is tiers number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, nose run number 1, and choke up number 1. All happened at once while watching this is the last one on the list. All happened at once while watching Clannad. Episode 9 of Clannad. Yes, Clannad, the crab with testicles that we all know and love. In episode 9 of Clannad, then there's this girl called Fuko. She's like this little girl who it turns out is a ghost.
Holy shit, the crab with testicles! I remember the crab with testicles!
That's right.
Yeah!
Good job, Jesse, you did it! Yeah!
Yeah! We did it!
It was your own show.
So you did it, you guys.
So what happens to the crab? Did you?
Over the years, I have multiple times received like fan art of what people imagine the Clannad is, the crab with testicles.
So what happens to this crab ghost?
Well, it's not a crab. It's just a little girl. She's a ghost.
All right, that's your
What
story.
do you mean it's not a crab? All this time.
Well, anyways, the little girl, like, she just, like, her sister's getting married, and she just wants to be able to, like, see the wedding, and she'll be able to pass on to the next life. And so in episode 9, there's, like, they do the whole wedding scene. It's just so, like, the way they directed it and animated it and everything is just so fucking emotionally, you know, manipulative that it was it made me cry like crazy, even though I didn't care about the character or anything about the show. It's not even a good show.
That sounds almost as good. That sounds almost as good and similarly emotionally resonant as this one hentai I watched about a ghost who couldn't pass on until she got fucked real good by one dude, and then she did, and she felt at peace. It was great.
I bet I've seen that. So to just follow up, because that list was from 2009. I've had a few more times I cried. Another big one was another show from the same guy who wrote Canon and Clannad, which was Angel Beats. The last episode of Angel Beats, because oh my god, that one's so fucking emotional, because the whole show takes place in purgatory, and it's like all these fucking kids who are like trying to figure out why they're there and like how to move on. And then the last episode, it's like most of the whole cast has already moved on from purgatory. There's just like 5 characters left, and they've basically resolved all their major issues, and they're just like having like one last like goodbye. They literally stage a graduation. They all meet up in like the auditorium of the purgatory that is high school, and they each of them one at a time gets up and like gives their graduation speech, and it's all fucking emotional. And they vanish after they give their speech, so it's like you're literally watching the characters one by one exit the show to go to heaven. Oh my god, it's so fucking emotional. That one definitely made me break down really fucking hard. And then some more recent ones. The most recent time that I cried, apropos of nothing, was watching K-On! And thinking about Hypocrite, because it was after we had, I've probably told this story before, but at least to you guys, it was after we had met up at BronyCon in 2014, I guess, and it was like everyone got to go except for Hippo. No, 2013 then. No. 14, whatever. In 2014, right, everyone met up. We all went to BronyCon except for Hippo, and it was like, I realized because we made up these little memes and stuff while we were at BronyCon, which have still survived with us to this day, like the Lord of Shit Mountain, little things that we were just giggling about like Batman. All night long. Yeah, and Double Batman was the next year, I think. That was the year Hippo was there. So
was it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit,
Lord of Shit Mountain was the first year though, and like we just kept like all night staying up, like saying Shit Mountain, and then we'd all giggle for like 10 fucking minutes because we're idiots. But we had all these memes and stuff, and it really reminded me of the scene in K-On! Where they go on the school trip, and they're all just like laying in bed at night, and they keep going like Lycopene, and then they all laugh, and then one of them's like Shericobe, and they all laugh, and then it comes up later in the show, and like during the most emotional moment in the show, in episode 20, when like the band has just done their last performance, and they're about to like, this is the last time that they're ever going to do something major together again, and they all just break down crying at the realization, and then like Ritsu, to try to cheer everyone up, says Lycopene, and they all start laughing while crying, and oh my god, that scene absolutely makes me cry every single fucking time I watch it. As does the ending of season 1 now. Basically all of K-On! Makes me cry now, because the more I think about it, the more emotional I get about it. But the scene that got to me out of nowhere was because, I made that connection
more like
between us
Cryon.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Like, I'd made that connection between us hanging out and that scene. But then I'm watching the show, and I'm halfway through season 1, and Azusa shows up, who's, the youngest 5th member who joins the crew later. And I suddenly, like, upon seeing her, I suddenly remember that in that episode where they were on the school trip, she wasn't there because she's a grade lower. They all went to Kyoto, and they had this great time, but meanwhile, she was stuck back at home, and she was just hanging out with her, like, underclassmen friends. And so she had this other sort of adventure that was going on with her friends, and she, has her own little stories from that, but it's obviously less interesting. And Hippo at the time had been at this like this camp for retarded kids, I guess, and he cleaned shit for retarded kids or something.
Yep.
And and he had been doing that, and like he had said, it was a good time on its own, but it was not the same trip that the rest of us were on. And, like, I remembered all of that when I saw Azusa, and I was like, oh my god, it's the same! And then I just fucking lost it, and I was crying, like, all day. All I could think about, and I was just, like babbling to myself, oh my god, hypocrites, Asunyan! It's so, K-On's perfect! And it didn't help that I think the reason I was so emotional is that I was, like, hopped up on painkillers, because this was after I'd broken my foot. So I'm, like, laying in a chair, watching K-On, like, half asleep, like just downing Oxycontin and crying my eyes out thinking about Azusa. And then I cried at like every major episode from then on. And then K-On! Became my favorite anime of all time, officially.
Interesting.
I have
I've heard that story a whole bunch of dang times.
I think I cried at the end of Shirobako too. I don't know if I shed a whole tear, but the scene where I hope does anybody care if they get spoiled for Shirobako? Is anybody
I do care. I don't want to be spoiled. Though it's been a long time, so I wouldn't really blame you.
You haven't fucking seen it, you nerd?
I'm working on it. I got a lot of shit to do.
I want to talk about it, though. Do you... Can you cover your ears for like 1 minute while I freak out?
Yes, I can. I'm going to take off my headphones. Go ahead.
So at the end of Shirobako, like the whole show, the 5 girls have all wanted to work on an anime together. Like that was their dream when they were in high school. They had an anime club. They all wanted to work together on this one show, and then they've never gotten the chance because they've all gone to different jobs, and they're all in different places in their career. Some of them are having a lot of success, some aren't. And the voice actress girl, the whole show is just getting shit on. She never gets work the whole fucking show. She never has any success. And in the second half of the show, all 4 of the other girls get to work on this show together in some capacity. And like they have to have meetups with the other girl. Like they're all hanging out, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, we're kind of on the show too." And the voice actress girl's just like, "Yeah, I understand. It's hard out there for a voice actress," and they're just like beating down on her the whole show. But then they like the whole second half, they're like talking about rewriting the script for the show, and then it turns out that they end up rewriting the last scene of the last episode, where they're going to have them go to this like to meet one of the main characters in the show they're making, to meet one of her, like, her little sister. And so the voice actress girl ends up getting to voice the little sister, and they all, like, find out at once, and, like, they bring her in, and she gives this really emotional performance, and she's, like, crying because she got to be in the show with all her friends.
Are you done?
No, I'm still going. And then fucking Emma, who's the animator, she gets to animate. Emma gets to animate the scene that she was voice acting. Jesse got to go on for 15 fucking minutes about Rocky. I can talk about Shirobako.
He used up all the fucking goodwill. He used up all the goodwill I have.
Ben, you have had no contribution to this so far, so I'm going to talk about Shirobako.
My contributions have been concise and pointed.
They had nothing to do with crying in shows.
I've fucking seen Shirobako, okay?
Yeah, it's a really emotional
scene.
Man.
Don't fucking watch Shirobako,
made me cry
audience.
when Emma is like animating the scene that she got to do. Then that was extremely fucking emotional.
It's a good ending. I didn't cry, but it was good.
You good?
I wanted to say, there's the ending of Lucky Star was always quite emotional.
That
for
is
me
a good one.
It was really just that idea that it's the end of school, and you know, all the friends they've made and all the stuff they've done. That's it. After that, everyone's gonna go away and never speak to each other again.
That's also a genius ending. Because
it really makes me think. I mean, I think I cry most when it's like an idea or a concept that I can closely relate to, like a character dying. I've never seen somebody die in front of me, so that never really affects me that much. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, The Lion King. I can't really relate to that because I'm not a lion, and also...
and I'm not African, so I can't double relate.
Not a lion. Lions attack hippos. I can't relate
That's
to
that. That's
true. No empathy.
But I was thinking, like, if there was something like one of my worst fears... Well, not one of my worst fears, but if there was like a character death from the perspective of somebody who just didn't know... Because I've had nightmares... Or rather, just like I've cried in my sleep to the idea of just coming home one day, and then like my brothers or my parents just not coming home because they died, and I just didn't find out about it. And if that was in like a TV show, I would cry probably there. But like things where it's like all dramatic and there's music and there's like, oh no, he's dead, you know. It's...
Hippo, you're bringing a tear to my eye.
Oh, no.
I can't relate to things like that, and I don't cry so much. So if it's happened to me, or if it's something I fear, then I would cry more.
Go back to Lucky Star. That scene where they like reminisce about Konata's dead mom. That's pretty emotional.
I was gonna say.
And the funny thing about that ending of of a Lucky Star that you described, that like it's all of them graduating and like this sort of emotional thing, is that it always works, and yet every single one of those shows has done it. Like Lucky Star has that. Hidamari Sketch has elements of that. Azumanga Daioh ends that way. K-On! Ends that way, obviously.
There's no other way high school slice of life can end. It's so perfect.
Straight. Yeah.
It's not even that I had a good high school experience. It's just that I was starting to make one or two friends at the end of high school, and I was like, oh, I have to start again.
I'm not knocking. So basically, I'm saying like even though they all do it, it always works. Like every single one of those is an emotional ending. Even when the show wasn't like Azumanga Daioh has like a surprisingly emotional climax for a show that was never emotional. You know,
it's kind of hard to avoid being emotional when like it's the end of you and all your buddies. Like you reading it, they're like your friends. You know, Tomo and the glasses one.
Because my friends in high school, like any of the ones I kept talking to after high school, like by that point we didn't see each other in school anymore. We only saw each other outside school because like most of them are people, because in Japan they stay in one class typically for like 3, you know, you have a lot of the same people, especially if you're in the same grade range, you know, and of course anime will, you know, skew it so everyone ends up in the same class, or they're all in the same club or something. But, you know, for me and my friends, it was like by senior year, nobody was in classes with me, or half of them had dropped out. So, you know.
Hey, before we move on from Lucky Star, let me just say how genius that ending is, in that the whole, like, performance that they're putting on is the opening that we've seen every episode. Yeah. Fucking genius. Love it.
I just want to ask about the school system in America. I don't really know how it works. Do you have like a class of people that you stay with throughout the school time, or is it just like classes based on?
It's all just based on you move between classes
in
every
the UK we
hour.
have like tutor groups, or at least my school had tutor groups where it would be a group of people and we had a name and we stayed in that class the whole way through, but when we get into different subjects, we would be in different classes. like if we chose German, we'd be all with all the.
It changes every year. You get a new homeroom.
But you have a homeroom, but like you don't stay with them through the day.
Yeah, it's just like where you go.
I mean, it's almost completely, because like I remember in elementary school we were in one class the whole time. In middle school I remember homeroom meaning something, but like in high school for me it was just homeroom was just whatever your first class was. Like there was no, we didn't go to a homeroom every day.
It was totally pointless, and I never understood why they even bothered.
Well, did you guys have an A and B? Did you guys have A and B days? Like
we had like A, B. We had like a 6-day cycle, I think.
Holy shit! How the fuck does that work?
I don't know.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, for my school, it was you took 4 classes on one day and then 4 classes the next day, and they were all totally different. So you did not go to the same room at all 2 days in a row.
So the thing that's different about the UK is that we have like middle school and high school combined into one, and then also a few years added on at the end. Mm-hmm. So if you were to go start at like year 7 and you would go through to year 12 or 13. You would be with that one homeroom or tutor group for many years, and it's
nothing like that here.
It feels kind of similar to the way Japanese things happen.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. But hey, I wanted to kind of bring things in a different direction. Are you done, Gib? Was you anything else you were going to say? Okay.
I'm done.
I was just going to ask about, and this might be something interesting to talk about from a crying perspective specifically, since we're all content creators. I don't know about you guys, but I've on many occasions, well, I guess not many, but on several occasions, stuff that I have been making has made me cry, kind of on an intellectual level, as I just realized now. Well, maybe it's because like I have such a penchant to use
where I
like,
thought you were going
music.
with that is I thought you were going to say I've got lots of comments that have said they cried watching my videos. I was not expecting
who cares
you yourself
about them?
to have
I don't
cried.
care about them.
Yeah. Well,
I mean the comments too. People do say that.
I've not cried at my own videos.
Never.
I have never. I mean, I have gotten really emotional in various ways about my own stuff. I've not crying. Like, usually crying is not a feeling that I, like, I don't know. It doesn't just, like, spontaneously well up inside me. I guess, like, when I'm the stuff that I'm working on is not like that. I don't know. I guess I was...
The closest is Brunswick. Yeah. Brunswick's kind of a tearjerker, you know.
But I didn't, like, cry making it. You know, like
right.
sadness and was not the feeling in me as I was producing it, even though it was like made.
Your tablet got all malfunctiony.
Well, people say, I mean, some of the best. Yeah, people say that Brunswick makes them cry sometimes, and that feels great. I love that. People when people told me that they cried at the end of Nuzlocke Genocide, that was like one of the proudest moments I've felt. I was so happy. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't the end. It was the second. It was the penultimate episode.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I really tried to go all out and make it an emotional moment, and people were like, "Your fucking Nuzlocke Let's Play series made me fucking cry, dude." I was like, "Yes, I did it. I did the impossible." So that was beautiful.
Go on, Gib.
I was just gonna say, I don't know whether I would cry even if I deliberately tried to make something emotional like that.
Yeah, like Brunswick is sad and emotional, but like at no point in actually making it did I like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like when I listen back to my Gurren Lagann Part 2, you know, when I was making it, even now, like I use tracks in there that evoke certain emotions in me. So like Baby Universe, which is what I use when I'm like describing the two types of characters, like the communists and the Rossius or whatever. And then later on with the like the next song is from Bravely Default. It's like the finale song, and like that's like the emotional climax of the video. Like I use that song because it really gets me. So you know, kind of just through the fact that I steal content from other people and use them in my videos. I kind of get to experience the same emotion as other people. If I had made the song,
I feel
maybe I wouldn't feel that way. But you know,
the brave little toaster.
You know,
I think that it's hard
like that.
to
You're
cry.
worthless.
I mean, maybe some of the ideas behind a work that you're doing might make you really emotional. Like,
see that's what I really want to get at with this.
The actual making of the thing, I don't think I would ever be in danger of that happening.
In danger?
Like,
never?
Like the fucking no. Like I don't know. Just when you're seeing the actual sausage making process, you know, just like making a thing and experiencing a thing are just so fucking different from each other.
I cry when I think about how long it took to make these things.
Yeah, that's true. When I think about how far behind I am and how much I hate myself in my life.
That's right.
Yeah, I get really emotional about my own stuff in that sense.
The one I thought would be most likely to have experienced this was Jesse. So Jesse, do you ever cry when you're making or watching your own work?
Oh boy.
Like that, like the wrestle boy, you know, Toast for the Douchebags.
Oh yeah.
That one seemed like it might.
I don't know about watching them. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fucking. Oh man.
Jesse hates his own work a little too much for that, I think.
No,
Yeah.
It's a
I just
different
think
sort of
that,
feeling.
I'm doing this podcast has opened something up inside me. I'm having trouble.
Get that demon out.
Here.
Do you feel a tear coming out of your eye?
Oh, and another one falling from my other eye.
I'm sure you all know what the intro for this podcast is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Raindrops keep falling on my head. And just like the guy's feet are too
I don't know.
big
I can definitely write things that, like, while I'm writing them, it's bringing, like, an emotion out of me that I hadn't confronted yet. And, like, while I'm putting it on the paper or the fucking WordPad document or whatever, it's like, while I'm writing it, I'm crying.
Or scribbled on the bathroom wall in my own feces. You know, however the writing process takes me, right?
Yeah. Like, I've been writing a thing recently that's been making me cry a lot the whole time. I've just been...
Oh, cool.
It's not for public consumption, though. It's a private thing. But I've been writing it through like just a veil of tears. I'm writing
Is
it
it
in
that
tear
fan
vision.
fiction about Ray playing Smash Brothers? Because that
With
seemed
Donkey
like it
Kong?
would
It's not a fan fiction. It's,
evoke those emotions.
no, I've yet to finish
more
that
real
because I
than
know
that.
it'll be too emotional and I'll have to kill myself.
Yeah. You know, I'm glad to see that you're not a man who only appreciates Asuka like a lot of the Asuka fags out there. You appreciate Ray as well.
To jump in on this,
You know,
this
it's
question.
you know who I also I think a lot about Misato, and I think a lot about that one scene in particular where she's just like coming to terms with the fact that Kaji's probably dead, and she's crying at the kitchen table, and that little like just that like piece of animation of her like crumpling at the table is like so raw and real to me, and like I always think of it, and I wrote a little song just to that piece of animation because it's always in my head. And so one day I started just singing, and what I ended up singing was the song Desperado by the Eagles. But instead of Desperado, it was Hey Misato. And it stuck with me. And this is like, I've always thought about making this a video because I do this all the time where I'm like pacing around my room and I'll just start thinking about it and going, Hey Misato, why don't you come to your send? And I'll just start crying like an idiot.
You're out
because it's so fucking.
Wait a minute.
That's such a great song.
Wait, the Dark Souls song?
What? No.
Yeah, nigga, fucking Eagles.
And Orlando, why are you such a cocksucker? Top to bottom, motherfucker.
Well, like, it's not even
not much fun.
It's not even like it makes me cry because I'm sad. It makes me cry because it's so stupid and silly that I've ruined this scene in this show. Because whenever I see it from now on, I'm gonna be thinking about the fucking Eagles.
Wow.
I hate the fucking Eagles.
Oh God. You know,
Stupid stuff's the coolest stuff.
it's odd because I'm thinking, like, I'm racing through all my videos in my mind, trying to think if there's any like that I've made that would make me emotional. But it's odd because I have some videos that people have told me make them cry, and I have ones that are definitely more emotional, like You're Gonna Carry That Weight, the Cowboy Bebop video. You know, people have told me that made them cry, or some of the more personal stuff, the like S4 Diary stuff from the Pony days and shit like that. And like, but I don't know. I feel like I go out of my way to undercut emotions in my videos, like where I tend to go more for like a numbness when I do get emotional. And if you watch
my
stuff
philosophy is, if I have to feel it, then goddamn it, you're all gonna feel it too, you sons of bitches.
Yeah, I don't know. It's odd. Like when I think of, because Nate, I know you use music to make things emotional, and you always have these sort of overpowering feeling in your videos, like hitting, like here's all the emotion, and I feel like
I'm taking people on a guided tour when I do this shit, you know?
And it's rare for me to use music in my videos, but when I do, I almost always pick stuff that deliberately won't feel that way, almost, except like and I'm thinking of the migraine reviews and insomnia analysis, and probably the most emotional thing I've ever done, which was just copying Jesse's usage of the song Green Bird from Cowboy Bebop, and I used it at the end of my migraine review. But like all the music used throughout that up until that point is all like depressing songs, but have this very like numbing, jaded kind of depression, and like that's sort of the way I always present myself. Is like I don't usually try to say like, oh, I'm very emotional right now. It's more like I feel dead, and I feel like I wish I could feel something. I guess that's what this whole podcast is. This has been my stance. This whole podcast is I wish I could feel something, but I'm just so fucking dead inside, and I feel so neurotic and broken that I'm like struggling to eke an emotion out of something.
I have a similar sort of feeling that I don't feel like I'm dead inside. I just feel like I want to be able to cry more. I want to be more emotional because it seems like, you know, maybe it's a curse, but it results in a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
Like I'd probably be funnier if I could be more emotional.
You know, it's the Pod D cast is a good place to go listen if you want to hear like me be emotional every single week about the amazing things that happen in One Piece.
If you want to hear the exact same speech about how amazing One Piece is and how gratifying it is that there's all these things that were set up for 10 years, 10 whole years of setup paying off
20 years now. Yeah, all right. Yeah,
I do like the podcast, but you do give that speech every episode.
I can't say we did this one. Oh, I'm late with that one, but yeah, okay, whatever. All right, that's cool. Shout outs to specifically the second Genova fight in Final Fantasy VII, where Aeris' theme plays while you fight this evil, disgusting
why you gotta do
Genova.
That to me? I'm sorry,
man.
So much in Final Fantasy VII. Every part of that game makes me
too
cry.
much. The scene with Tifa and Cloud under the airship.
Oh my god, the scene in Aeris' mom's house when Barrett's talking about Marlene and how he wants to be there for her, but he has also got to fight for the planet and stuff.
And when Barrett goes to see Dine and talks
the
about
scene
Marlene with her,
where Red 13 meets his father, and his father is a dead statue.
He was a hero!
He was a hero! He wasn't a coward! It was all a lie!
There's
there's
too much.
That scene where you take Barrett on a date.
Yeah.
Why'd you have to remind me of that? No.
That's too real, dude.
The first interracial kiss in video games.
Other shout out
groundbreaking,
the final scene in Kingdom Hearts 2 where Roxas and Naminé are reunited via Sora and Kairi's bodies. That
via the sweet release of death.
Well, sort of. And final shout out.
I'm still mad that Ben eye-rolled me out of my Shirobako thing. That was the only examples I had were Chaot and Shirobako.
The one thing that made Digi-Feel and you ruined it.
Yeah.
You took it away from him.
I'm sorry. I was just really bored.
You know what? Fucking Academy Award music to be out of my only emotional moment, and now these guys are going through all their examples, and I have nothing left. I'm like struggling. Oh, there must be something else that made me cry. I have nothing.
Let's talk about Ben for a minute. Let me tell you, people, the most Ben story that's ever happened.
Oh, good.
It happened in our Discord server about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Maybe Ben remembers this.
I don't. I think.
What happened?
I had offhandedly mentioned that I was depressed.
Oh yeah, no, I do remember, and I stand by it.
Shut up.
All right,
Let me tell the story, you fag.
All right. I'm just saying, I stand by it.
But Ben showed up and he's like, "Hey Jesse, you offhandedly mentioned that you were depressed. Why don't you tell me what's got you so sad?"
That's not how it.
Shut up and let me tell the story.
Fine. Go on.
And I was like, "Well, Ben, I feel kind of heartbroken lately. I feel kind of sad and depressed about a lot of real deep personal stuff." And Ben goes, "Oh, on second thought, it's boring and I don't care. Goodbye."
Ben, you madman.
First of all, I was being tongue-in-cheek right from
Here
the get-go.
I was confiding in a friend.
Really?
And you guys wonder why I resent you all and like other people more than you.
I made some because you said you were depressed, and I was like, "But Jesse, you just got laid. How could you be depressed?" I was joking. I was joking around.
Yeah,
and then you're like,
I was like,
and then you're like, "Oh, well, I don't know."
Well, sometimes, Ben, sometimes, Ben, getting laid, romance can bring out emotions. Some normal people have emotions, and you were like,
let me fucking, all right, let me just completely level with you. Like, I was being jokey about it, and I was being, but there was kind of, okay, I'm mad, right? I'm mad because I live in Virginia Beach, and I have nowhere to go, and I haven't gotten laid in a long time, it feels like. And I'm really mad, and I resent you, Jesse.
Wait, what?
I resent you for having had sex recently, so there, it's out there, I said it. And then I come in here and I'm like, oh, Jesse, I'm making a joke about why would you be depressed when you just had sex? And then you're like, well, there's this other girl. Oh, she said something and now I'm in love with her. I'm like, shut up. I just didn't want to hear it. Okay.
I know you didn't.
So yes, it was stupid and retarded.
A joke.
And there you go.
I'm not really mad. It just strikes me as such a...
Well, I'm fucking mad now.
How could you be? You had sex with a girl. It doesn't make... Of course not.
I've had sex with... You know what? If you guys are going to be mad at me every time I've just had sex with a girl, then I guess you just always hate me, because I've always...
I was trying to keep my resentment fucking bottled up and buried deep inside, and now it's going... Now you're making it bubble up.
God damn it.
You're boiling that kettle.
Okay, let's all just unzip each other. Let's all just let it all out.
No.
Okay, good.
Let's have the airing of grievances.
Unzipping other guys is gay.
I think I already did my unzipping in this podcast.
There's nothing more gay.
Let me, all right. I wanted to give one last shout out to Data from Star Trek and Picard. What? That's not a joke. Why are you laughing?
I know, but just the segue.
It's the phrasing. It's the way you're phrasing it as a shout out. I think that's what makes it funny. Like, you're not saying, let me also mention another character who made me cry.
Friend of the show, Data, coming all the way from the Federation.
I gotta give a big shout out to Big Bird, guys.
He's more of a brother to me than you've ever been, Ben. He cares about me. He understands what it means to be human, unlike you, as you've just proven.
When Mr. Hooper died and Big Bird had to learn about death, and he had to confront the reality that we're all mortal, that we all die sometimes, that we all die except for him because he's a Muppet who he's cursed with immortality. He has to watch all of his friends die forever. I really want to give a shout out to Big Bird for feeling that feel for me.
All right. Well, you've ruined it thoroughly, everyone. Congratulations. I hope you're happy with yourselves.
This is the best
okay. Does anyone have any last? Anyone have any comments?
Nate, before we started this show, we randomly decided to start a new thing.
Wait, I have one more. I have one comment before we go.
I
have one comment before we go into the ending show, and that is that I've been looking half of this time I've been looking up lists of sad movies on the internet, and I cannot find this fucking sad, weird pseudo romance between a gothy teenage girl and a schlubby middle-aged man. It's like a comedy, but it's all romance, and it's really sad, and it made me cry. And I think it's named Harold and Maude or Butch and Cassidy. Or
is it the one where they do they go around killing people or something?
No, it's
anything like that.
No. It's just if anyone knows what the fuck I'm talking about, please tell me in the comments because I really want to remember what it's called now. Anyway, just had to put that one
I just want to point out, for the record, that I didn't actually ruin a party by crying into someone's birthday cake. That was a hypothetical.
I don't believe you. I do not believe you. That's a lie. That's a lie. That was too real.
I was trying to go off on a funny tangent, but then Diddy's like, oh man, I'm really into this story about how Jesse ruined a birthday party. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. It didn't actually
I didn't think the detail about the birthday party was real, but I did think the crying at a party was real. I just assumed you got drunk and cried at a party, because that's what happens at every party me and my friends have ever thrown, is that someone gets drunk and then cries about their life for 6 hours, and that's generally how our meet and greets tend to go.
I love parties. Parties are all good. They're all fun.
I'm not referring to parties. I'm talking about me and 3 friends hanging out and drinking. That's what a party means to me. And it usually ends in one of those friends crying about whatever's going on in their life for hours.
No wonder you've lost touch with all your friends.
Yeah, exactly. So we started up a segment this time where, for whatever reason, at the start of the show, we put out a tweet saying we will answer one question that someone has for us on Twitter. And now we will answer one question. Nate, what's the question?
We have no questions.
Okay, here we go. I sorted through them, and I think I found the most provocative of them all. Quick shout out actually to at rabbitsfoot99 for their incredible cute duck from Princess Tutu icon. But anyway, moving on. The actual question is by at Quincy Ackerman. The question is:
John
is
Quincy
there a middle
Ackerman,
road?
Our 5th president.
Yeah, that's right. he didn't live up to his father's legacy. But the question is from Quincy Ackerman.
Just throwing that out there.
he was a disappointment to his friends and family.
About 17th century politics or 18th century. Okay, here's the question. Here's the actual question. Quincy Ackerman.
Yeah.
Is there a middle road for normies and non-normies?
What?
I'm completely detached from society, and I respect everyone.
Next
who
question.
I'm gonna say the answer is sort of. Because you see, you need to, in your heart of hearts, be a non-normie, because if you're just a normie, then you're just worthless. But you can put on a mask of being a normie, and that's the way that you survive in today's,
Does that count as being
world.
a normie, or is it just wearing?
No,
a
no, it
facade?
doesn't. Well, that's
Well,
why.
I think that what they mean is not being, like being a normie in some ways, but then being a non-normie in other ways. Can you be a
like
Sure.
being a normie
I mean,
in terms of
think, I think my brother Victor would be like a perfect middle road between those. He's a handsome, personable guy who works with other humans and he's out all the time and has like a functional relationship, but he also like hates everybody and is incredibly neurotic, and every part of his body is broken, and he's and most especially his brain doesn't function right. So he he's like the most non-normie person to ever walk in the skin of a normie. So
yeah, there you
he's
go.
the
That's what I'm
daywalker.
talking about.
Yeah.
So how about that? Are we satisfied with that question?
Sure.
No.
You could ask another one because that one was terrible.
Yeah, it was very
That's
poor.
the thing. None of them were very good. But okay, here's one. Maybe like this retarded
None of our
one.
fans are
What is
very
the
good, but we try.
What is this is from at True Stardust 97. What is the canonical power scale of the PCP? Weakest to strongest. Does that tickle your fancy, people? Is that what you
but
want?
that's such a big question.
That's nebulous. I don't know how to quantify weak or strong.
exactly.
We can eliminate one end of the spectrum because we know Colt is both the cutest and the strongest.
I'm just
So
gonna
he's
say
number one.
that
Number
should
one.
be its own entire fucking podcast.
Yeah.
But wait, we
Answering
could
that
find
question.
that out. We can find that out at Radcon 2 with
That's
this
true.
WrestleMania 2.
Oh yeah, the video
do
game.
that.
Let that decide.
So right now, would
yeah.
it be Hippo is the strongest? I mean,
I
he
guess.
won, right? He had
Yeah.
didn't Kane win or Triple H or something won and
Triple
I think it's Triple H. Triple H is the strongest PCP.
All right, I think that's
Yeah.
right.
Okay, that's enough. So people, we're gonna do this again next time. We'll put out another tweet saying that we're recording the PCP. Submit your questions, and we'll look through and we'll answer one at the end. So go subscribe to at TP Crastinators if you want to do that shit. Oh, and again, thanks to at Pop Vulture for the question. Everybody, go submit over the whole week. Go submit your topics, and we'll talk about it on the podcast next time we do one. And that's gonna be it. So thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Have yourself a good cry. Go play Kingdom Hearts 2. Go cry about how sad and beautiful it is, and have a wonderful day.
Merry
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be working right now. I'm supposed to be working right now. But I'm not working. I'm doing nothing. My dick I'm jerking. Myself I'm sucking. I am an asshole. I am a stupid. I've got a deadline. Don't wanna do it. What the hell is wrong with me? I'm supposed to be making money. I'm supposed to be creating funny things that the people gladly will pay for. Artistic genius, that's what they came for. Instead, I'm tweeting, hashtag repeating. That's why there's no heat and holes in the ceiling. Yeah, it's quite the burden. It's a hard knock life, being a genius.